Hey, what's up everybody? We are back today talking about New Game Plus mode that just arrived for Dishonored 2 and everything you need to know, especially some of the landmines you need to look out for before you get started. So, in order to start a New Game Plus, you're going to need to go to the campaign menu like normal. You're going to see a new option that says New Game Plus. Go ahead and choose that, and then it's going to give you your campaign slots. You need to start with whatever one you want to use as the source for your New Game Plus playthrough. We're going to choose campaign slot number 1. Now, unfortunately, they did not give us additional campaign slots. So if you're like me, and you're doing tons of playthroughs, testing all kinds of things out, you're going to have to sacrifice a campaign slot to start your New Game Plus playthrough. It is going to overwrite the entire campaign slot. All of your new saved games that were in there are going to be blown away, so keep that in mind. Now, once you do this, you are going to get into a New Game Plus playthrough, be presented with all of the options that you had before. The key thing here is, though, even though you're carrying through, say, perhaps on an Emily playthrough, when it's time to select a character, you're also going to be able to choose Corvo. So just because your source game is Emily doesn't mean that you can't start your New Game Plus playthrough as Corvo. One of the coolest things to come with New Game Plus mode is all the new powers that you get access to. So, if you are playing as Emily, you now have access to Corvo's powers. If you're playing as Corvo, you now have access to Emily's powers. So this is going to really open up a lot of new kill combos and skill combinations that you're going to need to get familiar with. To shorten the learning curve on those, if you're used to playing as Emily and you haven't seen Corvo's powers before, check the video description. I've got an in-depth guide down there on how to use all of his powers, and the same thing for Emily. If you're not familiar with her powers, there's a guide down there for her as well. Definitely check these things out. They are awesome now that you get access to them. Now, you're always going to be given Blink as your default for Corvo and Far Reach for your default as Emily. However, now that you have access to both of them, if you like one over the other, you can always spec into them. Now let's talk about runes. So, what do you need to know about runes? Very, very important. Right now, the way it works is when you get into your New Game Plus, they are going to refund all of your runes to you so you can reallocate them in however way you want. The only problem is that they don't tell you any runes that you are carrying that you did not spend at the end of your initial playthrough do not get brought over. I don't know if that's working as intended or if they're going to fix that in the future, but I did want to show that to you. So you can see right now I'm on Death to the Empress. This is my source playthrough for my New Game Plus. If I go into powers, you can see I'm carrying 29 runes. I've only spent 4. 2 by picking up Dark Vision, 2 by picking up Agility. So now let's take a look at what this translates to when you get into New Game Plus with this playthrough. So now we're on to the New Game Plus playthrough that was sourced from what I just showed you. If we go over to powers, you can see I only have 6 runes. It's 2 that I spent on Dark Vision and the 2 that I spent on Agility, plus 2 that you get during the Outsider sequence when you discover the first shrine. So very important, spend all of your runes that you want to take with you into New Game Plus. Now let's talk about blueprints. So if you go to your first black market vendor, you are going to be presented with every single upgrade that you collected in your previous playthrough. So the one that your New Game Plus mode was sourced off of. It's going to give you the option to buy these upgrades. It's not going to give them to you again. So if we go in and look, you can see they're unlocked because we have the upgrade plans, but we still have to buy into them again. This is huge. It gives you the ability to get into Masterwork upgrades, especially some of the weapon-based ones, very early. It's awesome. I love that they did this. The old blueprints still exist in the game. The reason you may want to go pick them up, for instance, since we're in the Edge of the World mission, this is where you pick up the incendiary bolt. When you do go pick them up, they are going to give you a little bit of money. The basic blueprints seem to give you 200 coins. I'm not sure what the Masterwork blueprints wind up giving you once you pick them up. I haven't gotten that far into New Game Plus yet, but I would assume they either give you 200 coins or maybe a little bit more, but either way, if you're looking to get a little bit of extra money together, it's definitely worth going back and picking up the old blueprints from their old locations just to get the extra money. So speaking of money, the other thing to note is that when you move into New Game Plus mode, your money does not come with you. So you see we're pretty low on cash right now because the thousands that I had when I finished the game with my source game did not follow through into New Game Plus. Bone charms. So let's talk about what the impact of having bone charms, quote unquote, carry with you into New Game Plus mode. So right now we are in our source game again. If we go over to our powers and into bone charms, you can see that I have 38 bone charms with me. I have none equipped, okay? If we go over into craft bone charms, you can see that if I go to craft one, I have no traits available because I haven't sacrificed any bone charms. I'm going to sacrifice blood sacrifice, and I'm going to sacrifice gutter feast. Now, let's take a look at what carries with when we move to our New Game Plus version of this playthrough. Now that we're back into the New Game Plus playthrough that was sourced from that Emily New Game playthrough, if we go over into powers, I want to show you a few things before we jump in and finish this up with bone charms, is that we were able to do a New Game Plus playthrough as Corvo and pull everything through with us. You can see all the runes that we carried with us. I went back and respent all my rune points and everything carried through. So just like I said, the other thing is that you do get an updated icon here for Doppelganger, which is very cool. And if we go over to our bone charms and look at equip bone charms, you saw that I think we had 36 bone charms remaining at the end of that playthrough. There are no bone charms in my inventory. However, if we go to bone charm crafting, you can see that we have 2 traits available, and those 2 traits are the ones that we were able to sacrifice before we ended that New Game playthrough that this was sourced off of. So very important, make sure before you end your playthrough that you sacrifice all of your bone charms and get all of those traits off of them. You're not going to carry with you your whalebone. You're still going to have to find it in order to craft new ones, but it will make all of the traits available to you. It's very important that you do that. That's definitely one thing I wanted to point out. I didn't want you to be carrying around a bunch of bone charms just thinking, oh, I'll bring them with me and I'll play with them later, and then have them all just disappear on you. So that's the high points of the New Game Plus mode, some of the changes that came, as well as some of the pitfalls that you need to watch out for before you start your own. I hope this was helpful. If you got anything out of the video, I sure would appreciate a like on the video or a sub on the channel. But as always, thanks for watching, guys. Take care.